allocation under Head 11. The Commission notes that the Zambia Police Service draws its mandate from the Constitution as well as the Zambia Police Act, Chapter 107 of the Laws of Zambia, which provides for the functions of the Zambia Police Service in Section 5 as preserving the peace, prevention and detection of crime, and apprehension of offenders against the peace. The Zambia Police Service has been allocated an estimate of 3.8 billion kwacha towards crime prevention and policing services, crime detection and investigation services, police technical and specialized services, and management and support services. The Commission notes that the summary estimates by economic classification indicate a breakdown as follows. 2.9 billion is allocated for personal emoluments, 563 million kwacha for goods and services, and 291 million kwacha for acquisition of assets. The Commission asserts that this allocation to the Zambia Police Service has seen an increase from last year's budget, which was at 3 billion kwacha, considering the forthcoming elections to which the Zambia Police Service is key in preserving and maintaining law, peace and order. Further, the 2026 budget allocation entails that the Zambia Police Service shall effectively deal with human rights violations that are rampant during the election year. The Commission submits that inadequate resource allocation for the police may often compromise the ability of the police to fulfill their mandate and promote and uphold human rights as provided for in the Constitution. The Commission notes that the Crime Prevention and Policing Services Program of the Zambia Police Service has been allocated a total of 2 billion kwacha, which may be considered adequate to enhance the effectiveness of Zambia Police Service, which is critical for national security, public safety, and generally socio-economic development. A functional police service is key in upholding the rule of law, ensuring protection of all people in Zambia and their property, upholding fundamental rights, and creating an enabling and safe environment in which an ordinary person may conduct economic activities in the country. Adequacy and ramifications of 2026 budget allocation in meeting set targets. The Commission notes that the 2026 budget allocation for Head 11 has been increased to ensure that the Zambia Police Service meets its constitutional mandate. However, the Commission also notes that infrastructure is a key challenge for the Zambia Police Service, and therefore the budget allocation may be inadequate to cover the necessary infrastructure, such as modern holding cells and sanitary infrastructure required by the Zambia Police Service to ensure the protection and promotion of human rights. The budget allocation may be adequate to ensure that reported criminal cases are adequately investigated, especially where the budget is fully funded and implemented. However, the Commission posits that comparing the success rates for 2025 to 2026 in areas such as fingerprint processing, there is a possibility of this target not being achieved, as less than half of the projected target for 2025 has not yet been met as at September 2025. The Zambia Police Service Technical and Specialized Services has been allocated an amount of 690.5 million kwacha, and this shall facilitate the provision of technical and specialized services like police medical services at 831,915 and at 121.5 million towards human resource development, 523.9 million for police logistics and supplies, and 44.2 million for engineering and mechanical services, which has seen a steady increase from the 2025 budget, which was at 387 kwacha million for the same program area. This shall greatly improve service delivery, as the police shall build capacity to in-service officers in order to improve their skills in service delivery and ensuring that the rule of law is upheld as well as human rights protected. The Commission notes that the budget for the Zambia Police Service aligns well with the 8th National Development Plan, especially as it relates to improving the rule of law, human rights and constitutionalism, which apply in strengthening the criminal justice system, promotion of human rights, and enhancing access to justice for Zambians with a skilled police service. The Commission notes that the budget for the Zambia Police Service meets Zambia's international human rights obligations in terms of allocation for specialized training. However, there is need to enhance the allocation for construction and rehabilitation of police cells for detention purposes. As compared to previous years, the police service has budgeted for rehabilitation of 2 police cells and construction of a police station in Zambezi district. While this is commendable, there is need to improve infrastructure such as holding cells across all the 10 provinces of Zambia. Recommended variations. The Commission notes, honorable members, that crime detection and investigation services have been allocated 719 million kwacha, with 629 million towards general crime investigation services and 1.6 million allocated towards community support services, which is quite low, noting that Zambia has over 22 million people with about 156 constituencies, translating to about 10,256 kwacha per constituency. This is not adequate considering the vast geography of most constituencies. 2026 being an election year, community support services are imperative in a democratic dispensation like Zambia and should therefore be adequately budgeted for. In this regard, the Commission therefore proposes a variation of the allocated funds between community support services and international police, Interpol, services, which budget is an overwhelming 4.6 million kwacha. This does not align well with human rights principles enshrined in the Constitution, especially that the Zambia Police Service has a constitutional mandate to uphold the Bill of Rights. In conclusion, the Commission, honorable members, supports the enhanced budget allocation for Head 11 and proposes that the technical and specialized training budget should target building the capacity of officers in observing human rights standards during apprehensions and detention of suspects. The Commission observes that the proposed programs for implementation under Head 11 are progressive and in line with the 8th National Development Plan, particularly as it relates to Development Outcome 2 on improved rule of law, human rights and constitutionalism. The Commission further recommends for an enhanced allocation towards improving the standards of holding cells to ensure and uphold human rights standards. I submit, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Madam. I would request you go straight in the next head, that is Home Affairs and Internal Security. The purpose being, when you finish all the 3 heads, then we can interact, rather than maybe doing one by one, because it will take more time. Thank you.
Noted, Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I'll go straight into the overview of the 2026 budget allocation at page 2. The Commission, honorable members, notes that the Ministry's total budget estimate for 2026 is at 757.2 million for 6 programs, which are legal identity, civil registration and citizenship services, National Archives services, societies regulations and standards, internal security support services, forensic services management, and management and support services.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
The foregoing is in line with the 8th National Development Plan, particularly Strategic Development Outcome number 4 on good governance environment, which focuses on strengthening the policy, legal and institutional framework for good governance, as well as enhancing the rule of law, human rights and constitutionalism. The Commission, honorable members, notes that the Ministry has an upward adjustment of the budget allocated for 2026 compared to 2025 by over 200 million, from 551 million in 2025 to 757.2 million in 2026. The 2026 budget estimate for the Ministry is broken down as follows: 159.2 million for personal emoluments, 145.4 million towards goods and services, 298.6 million for transfers to grant-aided institutions, and 153.9 million has been allocated towards the acquisition of assets. The Commission therefore commends this upward adjustment to improve efficiency in the Ministry. Adequacy and ramifications of 2026 budget allocation in meeting set targets. The Commission observes that the Ministry is committed to ensuring a robust internal security through contributing to Development Outcome 1 and Development Outcome 2 of Strategic Development Outcome 4, on good governance environment of the 8th National Development Plan. This will be achieved by the ministry through improved policy and governance environment, decentralized public service delivery, strengthened human rights and constitutionalism, strengthened criminal and justice systems, and enhanced rule of law. The Commission commends the enhanced allocation of the budget for legal identity, civil registration and citizenship services from 323 million in 2025 to 325.4 million, as citizen registration is critical, especially during an election year. This is progressive in that the functions under legal identity, civil registration and citizenship are critical in fighting statelessness that may potentially affect Zambian citizens where legal identity is not acquired timely or where proving that one is a citizen of Zambia is a challenge. However, the Commission notes that Provincial Registration Administration's budget has been reduced significantly from 46.7 million kwacha in 2025 to 4 million in 2026. The Provincial Registration Administration sub-program allocated budget is not adequate considering that there are 10 provinces. The Commission supports the budget for legal identity, civil registration and citizenship services program under the ministry, as it is adequate to ensure that the ministry facilitates the issuance of national registration cards and passports to eligible citizens, meeting the set targets as well as grant citizenships to eligible persons. The Commission commends as progressive the allocated budget to internal security support services of 261.1 million kwacha, representing 34.4% of the total budget for the ministry. This amount has been distributed to 5 sub-programs, with 206.7 million going towards refugee and asylum management, 39.9 million kwacha towards anti-terrorism and non-proliferation services, which are critical programs for internal security. The Commission notes that 54.5 million has been allocated towards the Forensic Services Management Program, which is an important aspect for combating crime, as forensics are critical in collecting of factual evidence necessary for criminal investigations and proceedings. This may equally contribute to the scourge of over-detentions or detentions pending prolonged investigations, of which the Commission receives a lot of complaints from suspects. The Commission observes that the National Archives Services has been allocated a budget estimate of 16.6 million for the management and preservation of documents of national interest. The Commission commends the allocation of 2.3 million for transfers to local authorities for the decentralization of archives functions to districts or towns, as this is key in the timely and efficient management and preservation of documents of national interest. The Commission notes that the Society's Regulations and Standards Program has been allocated 5.3 million, which was reduced by 2.0 million from the 7.3 million in 2025. It is noted that the ministry aims to utilize this budget allocation to register and regulate societies with a view of enhancing internal security and good governance. The concern is that there has been a reduction in personal emoluments for staff, which may greatly affect service delivery, supervision and regulation of registered societies. The Commission commends the upward adjustment and allocation of 261.1 million towards internal security. The allocation is necessary and supported to ensure peaceful, secure and just Zambia that respects and promotes human rights, not limited to civil and political rights. The Commission notes that the bulk of transfers to grant-aided institutions, particularly towards the Refugee and Asylum Management Program, is supported by the World Bank to facilitate the implementation of the Zambia Refugees and Host Community Project. This program has been allocated 206.8 million. The project is commended as it shall improve the management of refugees and asylum seekers whose rights are always infringed upon by both state and non-state actors, especially where such persons have no legal status. How has the 2026 budget aligned with the national and international commitments? The Commission notes that the budget allocation for the ministry aligns with national commitments in that it aims to fulfill Strategic Development Outcome 4 on good governance environment through improved policy and governance environment, improved rule of law, human rights and constitutionalism. However, the Commission notes that the budget has not made specific allocations for the review of policies and legislation that enhance the promotion and respect of human rights, notwithstanding the budget's allocation of 94.2 million towards management and support services. In terms of international commitments, the Commission notes that the allocation towards the protection of refugees and asylum seekers is in line with international best standards. Further, The fact that the said allocation is meant to be transferred to the Commission for Refugees entails a strengthened public service performance management system in relation to the welfare of refugees and asylum seekers. Recommended variations: the Commission recommends a variation in the budget for Head 15, especially for management and support services, to be able to provide a specific budget line that would ensure the enactment of the Public Gathering Bill into law as a critical tool for ensuring public order and peace while promoting the right to freedom of assembly and movement, considering the elections scheduled for 2026. In a similar light, the Ministry must prioritize the enactment of the Anti-Torture Bill, which is equally a critical tool in combating acts of torture that may sometimes result in loss of life. This will further aid abolishing all forms of inhuman and degrading treatment in correctional centers and police stations. In conclusion, the Commission, honorable members, is in support of the enhanced budget allocation for Head 15, predominantly as it relates to the thematic program areas for implementation of programs which are cardinal for the provision and maintenance of internal security, in order to create an enabling environment that promotes socio-economic development and upholds human rights. Overall, the Commission commends the increased budget as a great step in achieving strategic development outcome 4 on creating a good governance environment and enhancing service delivery through decentralization of public services and strengthening public service performance. With the proposed variations, the Commission submits that the estimated budget allocation for Head 15 is adequate in meeting the Ministry's set targets. I submit.
Thank you, Madam. We'll move on, therefore, to our last head, which is Head 17, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
I'll go straight, Honorable Chairperson, into the overview of the 2026 budget allocation under Head 17. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has been allocated 2.71 billion in the 2026 national budget. This represents a 27.6% increase from the 2025 allocation of 2.12 billion. While the allocation reflects Zambia's diplomatic commitments, the Commission notes that the heavy skew towards personal emoluments, which represents 92.7%, limits the Ministry's operational flexibility. This has several implications, including sustainability risk, as over-reliance on emoluments leaves limited resources for programmatic activities such as economic diplomacy, regional integration, peace building, and diaspora engagement. The Commission, honorable members, also observes that there could be gaps in property maintenance, in that only 64.8 million is allocated to mission infrastructure abroad, despite reports of dilapidated conditions in some embassies. Further, the Commission observes the underfunding of diplomacy and consular services, in that with just 0.6% of the budget for foreign policy and consular services combined, the Ministry risks underperforming on strategic engagements, diaspora services, and international cooperation. The Commission therefore submits that while personal emoluments have been well funded, programs in tandem with the Ministry's core functions must also be well funded to ensure enhanced service delivery. Adequacy and ramifications of the 2026 budget allocation in meeting set targets. The Commission notes that the Ministry is co-vice chair and joint secretariat with Ministry of Justice for the National Mechanism on Implementation, Reporting and Follow-ups, NMIRF, established in 2023, with the objective of coordinating implementation, reporting and following up of outcomes from international and regional human rights mechanism, which is a significant step in complying with obligations that come with ratification and accession to human rights treaties. The Commission was instrumental in facilitating the establishment of the NMIRF as part of its role of advising the government on matters of human rights, and observes that the Ministry's budget estimates must adequately provide for this important responsibility. However, the Commission also notes that the implementation of NMIRF has been hampered by lack of legal standing, as the process of facilitating ratification of international treaties is guided by the Ratification of International Treaties Act of 2016. The Commission notes that the establishment of NMIRF is one of the outcomes of the Universal Periodic Review recommendations which Zambia accepted. It is a landmark development towards enhancing national coordination and collaboration efforts towards implementing international and regional treaties and agreements which Zambia has voluntarily committed to. Therefore, the Commission submits that the Ministry's 2026 budget estimates must adequately provide for the review of the Ratification of International Treaties Act in order to give legal effect to the NMIRF and enhance the capacity of the Ministry through national mechanism to effectively engage international and regional human rights mechanisms. The Commission observes that the planned activities with regard to ratification of treaties have consistently been confined to 2 treaties only per year since 2023, despite the huge backlog of outstanding commitments the country has been voluntarily accepting during the Universal Periodic Review reports from as far back as 2008 to 2023. Ratification and accession to international human rights standards is an obligation of any UN member state in order to contribute to a universal human rights promotion and protection regime. Therefore, the Ministry's 2026 budget estimates, with a larger portion being dedicated to personal emoluments, would be inadequate to accelerate the ratification or accession of several international and regional human rights commitments which the country has already voluntarily agreed to adhere to. The Commission therefore recommends adequate planning, budgeting and funding towards the ratification and accession of international human rights instruments in order to enhance the country's level of compliance. How the 2026 budget aligns with national and international commitments. The Commission observes that the Ministry's 2026 budget is projected to advance objectives in the 8th National Development Plan, particularly under economic transformation and job creation and good governance environment. Internationally, the budget supports Zambia's obligation under African Union Agenda 2063, regional integration and peace building, UN Agenda 2030, particularly Sustainable Development Goal 16, Peace, Justice and Strong Institutions, and SDG 17 partnerships. However, as mentioned above, some commitments the country has made at international and regional level relating to accession and ratification of some treaties and optional protocols have not been implemented despite very limited resource requirements. The Commission notes that the ratification and domestication of the international and regional human rights standards strengthen the domestic legal regimes of respective countries. Under the 2026 budget estimates for Head 17, the Commission recommends for implementation of activities that include the ratification of or accession to numerous non-controversial human rights instruments which the country has already agreed to, such as the following: the first optional protocol to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Zambia has already ratified the UNCRPD in 2010 and has already domesticated it through the Persons with Disabilities Act number 6 of 2012. Therefore, there is need to ratify the first optional protocol to enhance the protection of the rights of persons with disabilities. 2. The second optional protocol on the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights that abolishes the death penalty. Zambia ratified the ICCPR in 1984 and abolished the death penalty in 2020. There is therefore need to ratify the second optional protocol. The 3 optional protocols on the rights of children. 1. Optional protocol on the involvement of children in armed conflict. 2. Optional protocol on the sale of children, children prostitution and child pornography. And 3. Optional protocol on the Convention of the Rights of the Child on communication procedure. Recommendations for variations. The Commission proposes the following adjustments and policy considerations. 1. Rebalance allocations. While personal emoluments are unavoidable, at least 5 to 7% of the budget should be allocated towards operational diplomacy and human rights protection programs. 2. Increase funding for consular services. Allocate more than the current 5.2 million in order to strengthen protection of Zambians abroad, including migrant workers, detainees and trafficking victims. 3. Strengthen diaspora engagement. Increase allocation for diaspora policy implementation. Currently, only 2 engagement activities are planned for 2026 as the diaspora contributes to remittances and national development. And 4. Prioritize embassy infrastructure. Scale up mission infrastructure maintenance beyond the current 64.8 million to ensure Zambia's diplomatic image and operational effectiveness abroad. In conclusion, honorable members, the Commission supports the enhanced budget allocation under Head 17 for the year 2026. However, the Commission observes that key programs such as operational diplomacy and human rights protection have not been adequately funded and would therefore require enhanced allocations for improved service delivery by the ministry. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much, Human Rights Commission. Honorable members, I'm sure we've been attentive. Are there any clarifications or questions arising from the presentation or in general terms on the budget for these three or two ministries and one department under the Ministry of Home Affairs are concerned? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I'll ask probably 3 or 4 questions. Thank you so much, Human Rights Commission, for your very insightful presentation. I will start with page 4 under Zambia Police. We are aware that 2026 is an election year, and as usual, we are generally a very reactive country, not proactive, because we need security through and through. But now that we have an election, we're all up in arms to say we have an election, we need to improve. You have informed the committee that, as we would also feel, that you would propose that a variation of allocated funds of community support services and international protocol be increased. Which head do you feel we can actually remove some funds from in order to increase this allocation? What would your suggestion be? Which head do you feel? I know every head is necessary, but where do you feel that from here we can remove something in order to cater for the crime detection and investigation services? Then also, you have spoken very highly of, budget allocation being increased, which is definitely a positive. But then, since there's been an increase in the budget, do you feel that the basic rights such as water, sanitation, housing, healthcare have been taken care of adequately? And then also, when it comes to civil registration, the budget has been reduced. What would be your comments on that? And then my last question is, yes, indeed, the budget must align with national and international commitments. On a score of 1 to 10, where do we stand as a country? I submit. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Madam, you may respond to those questions. The colleagues you are with could also come in where necessary.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson and Honorable Member, for the very important question. Our recommendation is that the variation can be made from management and support services, which has an allocation of over 336 million. We are of the view that crime detection and investigation services is much more important compared to the allocation under management and support services. I submit.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure they're still responding. Not so, Madam. Please.
Thank you, Chair. As I respond to question 2, unfortunately we missed the third question. So I would like the honorable member to repeat the third question.
Just repeat the...
The third question is on civil registration. Civil registration is very important to this country, as we are aware only 14% of our children have been registered in their country. We're probably the worst, second from Sudan, so we're somewhere doing very badly, and yet we have civil registration budget being reduced. What are your comments or your views on the increase of the funding on civil registration, because civil registration is a right of every child to be registered, to be known in this country, and it would also help the government with planning. So what would be your comments on the reduction of the amount of civil registration? Thank you.
Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'll respond to the second question on whether we feel that a certain basic rights like water, sanitation, and other social amenities have been adequately covered for. Of course, we did focus on the three heads, as DJ had earlier mentioned, and did not really look at the social and economic variables of the budget. We focus mostly for this particular committee on our internal security.
Okay, so sorry, just as a point of
Yes,
order.
yes.
So as a point of order, so if we look at the heads that we've looked at under Zambia Police itself, I'm sure you have been to police stations, you have been to police compounds. They do have these basic amenities right there. So we're not looking at it away from the actual heads that you're looking at. We're looking at the officers themselves under Zambia Police. Are you satisfied with what they have? Because it's Zambia Police that should cater for these particular men and women in uniform. So that's where it's coming from. It's not holistic as a country, but we're now looking at, see, even if we look at foreign affairs, we do have issues with housing, which Madam Bololwa has alluded to. Are we in a safe space in that area? So it's from these particular heads, because housing in the compounds, the police compounds, is it adequate? The housing, the healthcare facilities, because those officers have their own type of arrangement. So we're not looking at a holistic approach, but we're looking at it in terms of the heads that you are addressing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable
In
Member.
short, just maybe to clarify further, we are all citizens of this country, and you are aware of the problems our officers are facing in as far as accommodation is concerned, amenities like water. We've been with them for a long time, and we are seeing government recruiting in numbers. How do you look at it, given this budget that have been given? Do you see ourselves attending to the issues of housing, to the issues of sanitation? I think a general comment on that, because we need to, going forward, solve these issues. Our officers have been with them for a long time, and do you see us coming to a close with these issues? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that question. Our observation as a commission is that for old camps, police camps, we note that there has been an erratic supply for water, sanitation is actually poor, and also there has been reduced inspections from police command in terms of the extended infrastructure that is put in the old police camps. You also know that you find that some of them have chicken runs in a residential area that is crowded, which should never be the case, and that does generally affect their sanitation. In comparison to the new housing units that have been catered for in terms of water, because those have separate bores, are not connected to the main supply line for as compared to the old police camps. In terms of sanitation, they are also adequately provided for. The same goes with increased inspections. I will give an example of Charleston Police Camp. If you notice, the new infrastructure has got all those amenities as compared to the old infrastructure, whereby we note that for purposes of fetching water, they have to cross to go over to the other side of Charleston to get water, which is quite bad for the state in response to that. So I would say, like we've proposed, that the variations that should be made to the police budget should also include aspects of infrastructure, not only limited to detention facilities, sanitation in detention centers or in police cells, but should also be extended to police camps, predominantly the old police camps. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We proceed,
Yes.
Madam.
Yes, Chairperson. Just to also add on, when it comes to infrastructure, especially for the old houses for the police, there is need to increase the budget so that these old houses can actually be rehabilitated. If not most of them are actually not in a good condition. So there will be need to rehabilitate the houses for the police officers. Then concerning civil registration, I agree with the honorable member. Civil registration is very important and we have not done very well when it comes to this. And you will note that some of the human rights issues are tied to civil registration. They're incidental to civil registration. The right to education, the right to health. You need to be registered to be able to access education. You need to have a birth certificate. Without a birth certificate, you will not be able to get a place at a school. So civil registration is tied to human rights, and it's very important that this is taken care of and a proper budget allocation is allocated towards civil registration.
Maybe also, Madam, just to add further to the issue of civil registration, you note we are more or less like in a hurry because of the elections. We want to push in money to register people, but I think you agree with me, given the state of our country today, certain areas are inaccessible. So don't you think it's high time we channeled these resources to the lower levels, maybe Ministry of Health at birth, so that we should be able to achieve registration at birth maximum, instead of rushing to register people who are already 15, 16, some of whom may be staying in a place where even if you send officers to register them, they will not find them, or the roads, or indeed where they stay is inaccessible. Maybe you would like to hear your comment.
I agree with you on that one, Honorable Chairperson. We should actually be proactive and not reactive because of the situation we're in right now, because we're going into the elections and now we want to be reactive, that people should register people. This should be something that should be done right from the beginning and an ongoing exercise, and especially, like you said, Honorable Chairperson, right from the time when the children are being born. It should be done at the hospitals.
Please, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Just to add, these are recommendations that we have made to the Passports and Citizenship Board before, that registration should be captured from clinics, especially in the rural parts of the country. It takes away from a situation where during elections you now have non-citizens coming to be registered as Zambians. We've made these recommendations, and so far we have seen them implemented in a number of facilities, including UTH itself. And also, to add further, we have received a few cases bordering on statelessness in Zambia. We have, I think, about 3 cases where people don't have birth registration records and they want to be registered, but because they grew up with foreign parents or in a different country, their accent sells them off and sells them out, and the Immigration and the Citizenship Board refuses for them to be registered. So we did make recommendations similar to what you are proposing, in agreeing with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members?
One more question.
There's still one more remaining?
Yes.
Just remind
The score on a scale of 1 to 10. Are we scoring all the 3 heads or just one?
You can score each head.
Okay, you get it. Okay, sure. In terms of providing internal security, I think for head 11, which is the Zambia Police Service, would score it at 7. For head 50,
Mr. Mdenda is not satisfied. Let's hear from you, Mr. Mdenda, just on that one.
Let's have an honest comment.
No, it's not that I do not agree, Honorable Chair. It's that
You agree 7?
I want to rate head 15.
No. We are okay.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I want to rate head 15. Head 15 has not performed very well, Honorable Chairperson, and I say so because there is desperate need for review of the legal framework that governs the programs implemented by the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. One of them is the Immigration and Deportation Act. It requires urgent reforms.
And so the rating?
The rating, we will, because it's lacking a budget allocation dedicated to that level of law reform, we'll give it a 6, Honorable Chairperson.
A 6.
Thank you.
Back to Mr. Chilem. Shilambe, sorry.
Actually, he's added what I wanted to say on head 15. On head 17, I have no score really. It's like in a lot of things that we did allude to in our presentation. When it comes to economic diplomacy and other things, I am at loggerheads to actually rate it myself. So I will leave it to the DG. Thank you.
I'm sure Madam will give you the final ratings.
I will rate head 17, Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Like I had earlier mentioned, there is the National Mechanism on Implementation, Reporting and Follow-ups, where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice come together and assess which international treaties need to be ratified, or if they appear before, for example, the Universal Periodic Review Mechanism, and there's a recommendation that is made to the government, and the government accepts that recommendation. So this committee is there, but it hasn't done well because it does not have any legal standing. So at times they will meet, at times they will not meet. But if it was provided for in the law would actually state that they would have to meet. If it's quarterly, they have to meet quarterly, and the procedures they have to follow. So because of this legislation not being there to provide for this particular issue, I would rate it 5.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Chilundika.
Thank you, Chair. Witness, I would like to draw your attention to head 11, page 3, bulletin 3.0, particularly 3.1, where you highlighted that the allocation towards infrastructure, which is modern holding cells, and the sanitary requirements is not sufficient. We've been observing since the enhancement of Constituency Development Fund, we've seen and witnessed the commissioning of a number of police infrastructure done in that sector. Now, you as Human Rights Commission, when you look at the intervention that this Constituency Development Fund has been doing towards that, don't you think it could be sufficient to bridge this gap that you have highlighted here? Thank you.
Kindly attend to that. I see Mr. Mdenda.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, we agree with you that it would bridge the gap, but from our inspections of detention facilities, especially the police cells, there is need for a bigger budget for police cells. Almost every police station that we have visited or inspected is overcrowded, and sometimes they don't even have facilities to properly distinguish between male and females. This is countrywide. So yes, CDF can bridge the gap, but not completely. There would still be need for deliberate budgets, enhanced allocations. Thank you.
Follow up.
Thank you, Witness. Could you have an idea of how much we may be talking about to really cover that aspect? Why we are saying so, we've seen a situation where we've used the same fund in the Ministry of Health to ensure that all the constituencies have ambulances. We've used the same fund to ensure that all the constituencies have police vehicles. And recently we used the same, that all the constituencies have now, what's this, monitoring vehicle for the CDF project. So do you have an idea? Probably that would help executive to say, let's centrally renovate the infrastructures along that line using CDF.
Thank you, Honorable Member. How much exactly, we would not be in a position to give a definite answer of how much, but perhaps if the resources were doubled, that could go a long way into assisting with infrastructure development in police cells. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
If I may also add,
yes, Mr. Islam.
The other aspect that also affects these police stations to access CDF, I think, is the approval processes. I'll give an example. Recently, we were doing inspections at Chongwe. Last year, Chongwe had an approval to construct a police cell, which is at least 50% done. And when we ask what the delay has been to access the funding, it has been mentioned that the delay has been in terms of approvals. The approval was given a long time ago for the infrastructure to be given from CDF, but the approvals for the monies to be channeled to a police station to conclude with infrastructure development through CDF has also been an impediment for them to conclude with that aspect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Honorable members, are there any other interventions? Well, therefore, I think it remains my humble task, Human Rights Commission, to thank you most sincerely, even as we note that you've always been available when called upon by Parliament, and indeed your Parliament cannot operate in a vacuum. We require institutions like yourselves to always come through so that together we can make laws, together we can be able to attend to the very important issues concerning the running of this country. And therefore, on behalf of Madam Speaker, I want to thank you most sincerely. We still look forward for your interaction, not only with this committee, but the other committees of Parliament, as that way we can together build a correct democratic society that I think we all cherish in as far as everyone else in the country is concerned. So I would like at this juncture, on behalf of my colleagues, just to withdraw that little immunity that we conferred on you. But remember, I think all of us enjoy the greater immunity that our beautiful country offers. Otherwise, we want to wish you all the best and a very good day, Madam, unless there are any final remarks from you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Members, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
Good morning. There you have it. That's the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs led by the chairperson. That's General Sitwala, retired. And the committee is considering estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 2026. And they were receiving submissions from the Human Rights Commission. And we're looking at Head 11, that's the Zambia Police Service. Head 15, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. Head 17, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. And so we're standing by because the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs will also be receiving submissions from the Zambia Law Development Commission. Do stay tuned right here on Parliament Television.